Do Gavin Newsom and California really have the right to now seize all foreclosed properties? Do they have the right of first refusal on all foreclosures? There have been so many misconceptions about this topic, and so on today's video, I'm going to clear it up. I'm going to put my former attorney hat on. We're going to dive in and take a look at the bill in question. We're going to talk about it. We're going to analyze it. I'm going to give you my take on it, and make sure you stay until the end because I'm going to talk all about what's going on in California, all the craziness with foreclosures, with real estate, with everything else. So this is definitely a video that you don't want to miss. Let's go. Hey, what's up, you guys? It's Danny. Thanks for tuning in. On today's video, I am going to clear up some misconceptions that I have been hearing all over the internet, all over YouTube, and even in person. I've been getting so many questions and so many comments about this bill, SB 1079, which was enacted into law right here on January 1st, 2021 in California. A lot of people have been saying that this means that California is now going to seize all properties. They are going to take over and buy all foreclosures. A lot of people want to know, is Gavin Newsom really going to own every foreclosure? Is the state of California going to seize all properties? What the heck is going on in California? So make sure you stay until the end. We're going to read the bill together. I'm going to put my former attorney hat on, and I'm going to analyze the bill and give you my take on exactly what's going on. So if you're excited to hear about this, if you want to know what the real deal on this bill and what's happening in California, then do me a quick favor and hit that like button, because you guys, every time you do that, every time you hit the like button, every time you share the video or even comment on it, YouTube will show it to more people, and that greatly helps me grow the channel, and I really do appreciate it. So thank you very much for that. Let's go ahead and dive into the bill and see exactly what it says. All right, guys, so here we go. As I said, SB 1079 makes changes to the non-judicial foreclosure process, and its aim is to benefit tenants, primary resident occupants, and community groups, but it creates a lot of uncertainty for lenders and debtors. So guys, this is a quick backstory on this. The thing that the legislature was trying to prevent is what happened in 2008 when there were a bunch of foreclosures, and then all of these companies and real estate investment trusts and people like that came in, swooped in because they had a lot of cash and bought up all of these foreclosures. And then what they did with a lot of them is they just kind of let them sit there. They didn't do any work to them. They didn't remodel them. They didn't resell them immediately. They held on to all of these properties. If you remember back in the day, people were talking about shadow inventory. That's what this was. And so the problem was that people that wanted to buy these homes and live in them, the tenants that were living there got evicted. They created a lot of issues. And so the California legislature and Gavin Newsom were trying to do something to prevent that from happening again. Now, the real question is this bill the answer, or is this just more regulation and more ridiculous law from California? I'm going to let you decide once we dive in and read the bill. So let's go ahead and take a look at exactly what it does. So you guys, the first thing that SB 1079 does is that it allows a right to bid on foreclosed properties after the auction is over. So typically right now, or actually I should say before 2021, the way that a foreclosure property is sold is that there's an auction, it's sold to the highest bidder, and we're done. Nothing happens afterwards. What this bill does is actually change that and say that people can bid afterwards. So here's what it says. SB 1079's salient change disrupts the current standard and provides eligible tenant buyers and eligible bidders the opportunity to purchase the subject property after the trustee sale closes, unless the prospective owner occupant is already the successful purchaser. So if the tenant buys it, then this doesn't apply. Then it tells us how these prospective tenants or prospective bidders can actually go ahead and buy the property. They may purchase the foreclosed property by delivering written notice of intent to place a bid within 15 days after the trustee sale and matching the last and highest bid price at auction. So guys, check this out. The tenant of the property, so the person that lived there when the property was foreclosed on, has 15 days after the sale. to submit their intent to buy the property. And then all they have to do is match the final bid. So whatever that final bid was at auction, it's not final anymore. That tenant can come in and purchase that property by matching that bid and letting everyone know 15 days after the auction. So you guys, obviously this will create a lot of confusion for lenders, for buyers, and for everyone else, because you could go in and buy a foreclosed property at a trustee sale, but you really don't know for a while after that sale if you actually got the property. Now look, this is a pretty good thing, I will tell you, for tenants, because sometimes tenants may miss out on the foreclosure sale. Now they do have the right to come in and buy that property and make it their home if they've lived there for a while. So I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. What I am saying is that the way that they've structured this might create a lot of confusion and a lot of problems. So next up, guys, it says that eligible bidders, so not the tenant but someone else, has the same right, but they have to exceed, not match, the last and highest bid price at auction. So now let's take a look at who is eligible to buy these properties other than tenants. And you guys, I will tell you, this is where it gets really scary, because the way this bill is written is very, very ripe for confusion, problems, and all kinds of issues. And this, I believe, is where a lot of these misconceptions come in, and a lot of people thinking that California and Gavin Newsom can actually end up seizing properties, can end up buying up all of the foreclosures, and this is why people are so upset about this bill. And now, as I said, here's where it gets really, really crazy. Eligible bidders are defined to encompass more potential bidders, including the following. So check this out, guys. Obviously, an eligible tenant is one of the people that can buy it. All they have to do, remember, is just match that sale price at the auction. Let's take a look at all the other ones, though. First of all, a nonprofit association, nonprofit corporation, or cooperative corporation in which an eligible tenant, buyer, or a prospective owner occupant is a voting member. So that one, not that big of a deal. If a tenant is also the voting member or director of a nonprofit corporation, they can then purchase the property. Next up, a limited partnership in which the managing general partner is an eligible nonprofit corporation based in California whose primary activity is the development and preservation of affordable housing. So basically that one means that any nonprofit corporation that's in the business of developing low-income housing can go in and purchase one of these properties even if they didn't bid at sale. Now remember, they would have to exceed the final sales price, but that is still what amounts to a right of first refusal for one of these nonprofit companies. Let's keep going. Next one, the state, the regents of the University of California, a county, city, district, public authority, or public agency, and any other political subdivision or public corporation in the state. Okay, we have to take a huge pause right here. Here's where a lot of the outrage is coming from. If you read the language of this bill, what it now says is that the state can come in and purchase any of these foreclosed properties after a regular market auction is over. This is basically stabbing capitalism in the back and saying, you guys made a deal to buy this property, to sell this property. No, we as the state are going to come in behind your back after the sale is over, and we are instead going to buy this property. So this is where Gavin Newsom and the state of California essentially has a right of first refusal. Not technically, a right of first refusal works a little bit differently, but essentially they have the right to come in and purchase all of these properties. This, my friends, is a very, very scary proposition that should really freak all of us out, because we live in a free market. We live in the United States of America, not in a socialist or communist country. But this provision is really taking us down a very bad path. I will go on a limb and predict that there's going to be a lot of litigation over this provision if the state actually executes on this right to go in and buy properties. Last but not least, this bill gives the right to any prospective owner occupant to come in and buy the property. So that's any natural person who submits an affidavit saying that they're going to occupy the property as their primary residence within 60 days of the deed being recorded. And also they'll occupy the property for at least a year. And also if they're not the mortgagor or any people like that. So this one also, guys, really gives anyone else that intends to go in and live in the property the right to come in afterwards and buy it. Another really wacky provision that's basically invalidating the right of these parties to transact. So the trustee goes out, sells the property at foreclosure sale. Someone else comes in 15 days later and says, no, I intend to occupy the property as my principal residence. I can now come in and be a prospective purchaser of this. This is going to create so much craziness, so much confusion, and so much insecurity in the market where people really won't trust exactly what's going on between the lenders, the trustees, the owners, the buyers. Everyone is going to be confused because of the way that this bill was written, because of the way that it was carried out. You know, I have to tell you, as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, the actual intent of what they were trying to do is not necessarily a bad thing. We don't want corporations coming in, swooping up all these properties, and then not really doing anything with them. It ruins the neighborhood, ruins property values. But as with a lot of things in California, the way that it was executed, the way that it was actually written is just very, very poor. There are also a couple of other things in the bill, such as different procedural requirements and notices that are required and telephone numbers that trustees have to set up so people can call and find out about trust sales. Trustees are also not allowed to bundle properties together, so they can't put 5, 6, 10, 100 foreclosed properties together and sell them to one corporation. They're not allowed to do that. They have to sell each one individually, so that will place a lot more of a burden on these trustees. Now, you might be thinking, is this bill really that bad? And to answer that question, I want to put this into perspective. So this bill as a standalone in and of itself has a lot of really weird provisions, as we covered just now. However, where this gets really interesting is in the context of everything else that's going on in California and even nationwide. So as you might know, there have recently been bills passed to extend the eviction moratoriums both nationally and in California. Gavin Newsom recently signed an extension on the eviction moratorium all the way through the middle of 2021. So what's happening, you guys, is that a lot of property owners are not these big bad corporations, but they are single property owners, people like me and you, maybe that own 1 or 2 or 4 units or 6 units. They don't have a ton of property. And when people stop paying rent and the expenses keep coming, the mortgages keep coming, a lot of these people at some point will either be forced to sell these properties, or in a worst case scenario, a lot of these properties may end up getting foreclosed upon down the line. So what's going to happen if you project out down the line, maybe 6 months, a year, 2 years in California, is we could be facing a big foreclosure crisis. And then on top of that, this crazy bill will allow all of these other people to come in, and the state, remember, to come in and buy up all of these properties. So the long-term prognosis in California is very, very scary. It's very non-capitalist-like, if I could say it that way. And it's just a very interesting proposition that I haven't seen before. And so you guys, I hope that this video really cleared up those misconceptions about whether or not California and Gavin Newsom can really come in and seize all of the properties, whether Gavin Newsom in California will end up owning every foreclosure in the next few years, and all of those things that I have been getting questions on. If you have any other questions that I may not have answered on the video, throw them in the comments below, and I'll try to get to all of those as well. A couple other things I do want to mention, you guys. So first and foremost, as you know, if you've watched my channel, I am not a fan of Gavin Newsom. There's currently a big recall going on in the state. Currently, that recall effort is very, very close. There are 1.5 million signatures needed. The recall effort is over 1.3 million signatures. So I believe that we will get there, and then there will be a special election runoff where anyone can throw their hat in the ring to become governor of California. Should I give that some thought, you guys? If you think I should run for governor, give me a thumbs up on this video or let me know in the comments below. So anyhow, I wanted to let you know that that recall is actively going on right now. If you have not signed the petition yet to recall Gavin Newsom and change the direction of California, you can do that by clicking the link down in the description below. I've put that in for you down there. As always, you guys, make sure to follow me on your favorite social media channel. You can also text me to connect with me directly, find out about giveaways and everything else that I have going on. And I will see you on the next video. Thank you so much for tuning in today.